Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report special edition. It is Olympia week. In just a couple days, we'll all be headed out to Las Vegas for our Super Bowl, the Mr. Olympia, and all those other great Olympias, classic physique, 212, figure, fitness, bikini, men's physique, women's physique. What did I leave out? That all of them, Joe? Okay. Joining me is the man who, thank God, is going to be, once again, my partner in coverage, Giles Tiger Thomas. How are you, sir?
Very good, mate. How are you? Looking forward to Vegas.
Is it true you're bringing your Batman costume with you this time?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was a little worried about that. You offered to bring a suit. You're bringing 3 suits, you said.
Mm-hmm.
You offered to let me borrow one for the movie premiere, bigger. And
yep.
I need to somehow become 6 foot tall, and my waist needs to become much, much smaller in the next couple days. How are we going to do that? It's probably not going to happen. All right. Well, we got a lot of people to run through, so we definitely want to get going.
Okay.
I did a preview of the Olympia with Big Mike Cox a couple weeks ago, and neglected to mention Sergio Oliva Jr. And it wasn't malicious or anything. I was going by a list of people that were qualified that I was reading off the website, and I neglected to mention Sergio. So I want to make sure I begin this conversation with Sergio Oliva Jr. You haven't seen him this year in person. I did. I saw him twice, and he looked good enough to win both times. Really, Mike Lockett was just in better condition, and Tampa was. Talk about a coin toss decision. Coin toss. It could have definitely gone his way at that show, and nobody would have complained. I'm not sure how he's going to do at the Olympia. He's got tremendous potential. I think he's going to be one of the greats. I just don't know if right now, 2018, he's there yet. What do you think is going to happen with Sergio at this Olympia?
Sergio's on his way. What is he now, 34?
Yeah, somewhere thereabouts.
34. Really being a pro, only a full couple of years now. I think you've got to look at it as, I think an average pro career, average pro career is 5 to 7 years. A good pro career is 10 years. And you got someone like Dexter, who's an anomaly that's 20 years, Yeah. So I think I'm glad Sergio's doing this Olympia, because I think it's important for him to do this Olympia after he skipped it last year after winning the New York Pro. Right. I think it is important to get into the Olympia, even if you think you're not going to make top 6 or maybe even top 10. I think it's very, very important. Having said that, I think he'll make top 15. He will place. Yeah. I'm thinking 12th to 15th. That's a good starting point. Think about Ronnie Coleman. That guy didn't even get a call out for the first, his first Olympia in 92. He didn't get a call out in 94. He got a call out in 95. He made 12th, so if you think about it as a long game, like you said, he does have the potential to certainly be a top 6 Olympia, but not yet. It's not going to happen from yet. I'm thinking 12th to 15th this year, move up to the top 10 next year, and then I think, depending on who's about, I think he's potential top 6. Yeah. He's a top 6, but he's 2 years away yet. But like I said, I'll be excited to see him, and I think the thing I like about the Olympia is I like to see the new faces, and I like to see the guys get up there. And I think it's really important. So I'm going to be excited to see him, and like I said, he brings good posing. And he certainly brings an excitement with him,
He's so enthusiastic. That's what I love. You should have seen him in that pose down in Tampa that went on with him and Alexis Rivera. It went on forever. I'm not kidding. Like 15, 20 minutes of just those 2 guys.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, my God, somebody put an end to this. These guys are going to die up there. But he was like screaming and he was, wow. They put on a show, those 2. But, and it's... Some people think we're being negative when we say that top 10 this year is going to be a real rough stretch for him. But look at this lineup. Look at some of these names in this lineup. It's a pretty, I hate to use this word because it's like my pet peeve, but stacked. It is a stacked Olympia. We have some amazing competitors. So let's look at Phil Heath. Phil Heath wants to win, obviously, the 8th title and tie Ronnie and Lee Haney's record. And he got so much heat last year for having the bubble gut, which was the double hernia result that we saw. But I think we're going to see the best Phil that we've seen probably since his first win, which was 2011. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, that's right. 2011 was his first win. He's not putting out any real progress picture or anything like that, of course. But, yeah, I mean, knowing Phil the way we've known him competitively all these years, do you expect to see him lighter, tighter, shredded?
He's always shredded.
No, I know.
I've never seen him out of condition. He's very, very good. But like I said, in 2013 or 14 and last year, the stomach was bad. There's no getting away from that. I mean, regardless of the reason, the stomach was bad. I personally think he should have been severely marked down for it. I would have had him third. I would have had Bonac. I probably would have had Bonac winning it. Ramy second. I think Phil third. I think it would have added a lot of excitement because when we found out afterwards that there was a reason, and it was the hernia, then can you imagine the hype coming into this show? I think it didn't certainly win him any fans, but at the end of the day, he is still the best. And unfortunately, I don't know. Should Ramy have beaten him last year? Yeah, probably should have, but only because of the stomach. But when Phil is on, I'm afraid there's just no one out there really to touch him. There isn't. And I think, I said this in Muscle News Weekly, it went up a couple of hours ago, and I said exactly what you've just said. I think he's going to bring the best package he's done since 2011. And I think also what is going to happen, I think he's going to win back a lot of fans because I've seen a shift in his attitude in the last year. Not his attitude, but he's been on Ronline and he's kind of made more of an effort to connect with his fans because, I've met this guy several times and he does, I like him. I do like him. He's just very, very confident. And unfortunately, people are always trying to take pot shots at the champ. But I think he's going to look, I think he's going to do what Jay did in 2009. Because if you remember in 2008, 2007, 2008, there was a lot of hatred. Not hatred, but there was a lot of online, like kind of stuff Phil's been getting for the last year or last couple of years with the stomach and everything. Yeah,
I mean, they were calling Jay a refrigerator for quite a while, I recall.
Yeah, I remember on the forums they were photoshopping pictures of a refrigerator with a head on it. And then what happened? Jay came back in 2009, looked absolutely sensational, and everyone was like, "Oh, we love Jay, he's amazing." I'm thinking, okay, well, that's good, But I think that's what's going to happen with Phil. Yeah. I think I've just got a feeling. I might be wrong, but I think he's going to win this, and I think he's going to win it completely outright. I know, it's just honestly what I think.
Yeah, I mean, the other guy, the fans of the other guys are going to take exception to that, but that's, we all have our favorites. That's just the way it is. So Ramy, Mamdou Elsbier, second place last year. His placings have gone up continually every year. Do you see that as his physique getting better every year necessarily?
Yes, yes, quite frankly, yeah. Like I said, like up to last year, I wasn't really a fan of Ramy, and then I saw him last year at the Olympia. Obviously, we covered it, and I saw him at the Arnold Europe when he won it, and he clearly, his team and everything, they know what they're doing. They're responding to the criticisms. Like I said, I believe I've heard that he's brought his calves up, which he needed to do. I would still like to see the thighs, maybe not downsized, but just more separated. And if that means bringing them down in size, it'll bring him more into proportion. Now, the first thing I saw at the Arnold Europe when me and Rosie saw him is the waist. And for the waist, for me, the thing is, waists can be brought in. Rowley did it in 2016. So if he could bring that waist in just a couple of inches, I mean, like I said, it can be done. If he could bring that in, it would transform his physique. I mean, look what happened to Rowley at the Arnold Australia. He took those 15 pounds off his physique, and it all seemed to come straight off his waist, which just makes everything look so crazily proportioned. So if he could bring his waist in, it will transform his front shots, because I think his front shots are weak. I'm not even keen on his front lat spread. I just think it's very wide. It's very wide, but also the waist is very wide as well. I think Ramy's got a fantastic side chest. I think he's got a fantastic side tricep. He's got his rear double bicep it's impressive. The rear lat spread, for me, there's still bits missing in the lower half of his body, like the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes. But I think if he's brought that waist in and done something with the thighs, then he's going to be a lot closer to Phil. I do believe that, but we shall see.
You know, a lot of people. I remember even a few years ago we were doing. I was doing something like this with Dorian, talking about favorites for the Olympia, and he said back then, he said, why doesn't Ramy, if he was smart or being more strategic, he would come in at like 270 or something.
Yeah,
crispy, detailed, tight little waist. He'd still be huge. He's got so much muscle, so much thick, full muscle. He could afford to lose a little bit, and it would actually probably help him because, like you said, his waist would draw in. He'd probably have more separation detail in his quads.
Yeah,
I'd love to see Ramy come in a little lighter and just crazy. Maybe then the detail that I've been looking and waiting for years now for that extra level of detail that Phil has, that Dexter has.
The thing is, he's still, even when he does like his hands on hips most muscular, there's still a bit of he lacks a bit of separation around the shoulders and the chest. Like he flexes his chest and nothing really pops.
Right.
Now Dorian's got the right attitude. If he did lose an extra, not lose, but come in like say Rowley did from the Arnold to the Arnold Australia and drop a little bit more weight. Don't be afraid to drop a bit of weight. He will just gain separation and quality. Now, even if he drops 10, 15 pounds, he's still going to be the biggest thing up there. So the thing is, the camera crew guys, they tend to bring like Rowley, Ramy, for the Arnold and the Arnold and the Olympia, they do tend to bring them in too big, and then they seem to get it right at the shows afterwards. Because, I mean, Ramy at the Arnold Europe, he did look really, really good. He won that. Yeah, I suppose he did win that quite clearly because Bonac was starting to fade. But they always seem to do it every single year. They seem to sort of go, oh yeah, he does need to drop weight. They drop it, and then it's kind of done for the year, and it seems to happen again and again. But yeah, so that's what I think.
So Bonac, you said he could have won the show last year. He was that good, and we saw him really win the Arnold Classic in phenomenal shape earlier this year. Do you see him as being a possible, if not a threat to Phil, at least could definitely push Ramy out of the way this year possibly and be second place?
I could see it. I'd like to see it happen. I did a video preview a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd like to see. I think Bonac could take second. Whether that will happen, but I actually saw a video, some video about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't know whether it was just he was flat or whatever, but for me, he seemed to have lost a little bit of V-taper in his front double bicep. And I don't know whether that will be, when he's dropped 2 or 3 more weeks prep, and whether the extra prep will. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes they don't look as impressive in their prep videos as they do on stage. You might look absolutely fantastic, maybe but for me, he was looking a bit more straight up and down, which for a guy his height, that's disastrous. So I'm hoping that is going to come in nicely for the Olympia, because if he does. For me, him and Phil are the two best in my opinion. I do think they're light years ahead of Ramy. I actually do, in terms of shape, separation, quality, and things with William. He always tends to bring his A game to the big shows. He's kind of the opposite of Rowley. He always looks amazing at the Arnold. And then at the shows afterwards, he just gets worse and worse. He kind of fades as the other guys sometimes get better. Like Rowley ended up beating William quite clearly at the Arnold Australia, and at the Arnold, Rowley was nowhere near Bonac. I mean, I thought Rowley was lucky to get fourth at the Arnold. So Bonac always seems to bring his A game when it really, really counts. So personally, I would love to see him take second. I'd love to see that final call out and see him really push Phil. But there's just so much love for Ramy, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, half the world. He's got the entire Middle East behind him, probably all of North Africa, and probably a huge chunk of Europe. And there's a lot. I think he's got a lot of fans in America. A lot of people just love that big, freaky look. To them, that's the epitome of bodybuilding.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
I get it. That's fine. Well, Rowley, like you said, Rowley doesn't always bring his A game to the big show. Like at the Arnold, he was a little puffy, a little bloated. But then we saw 2 weeks later, he's a completely different person. 'Cause why can't he just bring that to the Olympia? That look that he had when he won the Arnold Australia. I think would be very, very competitive at the Olympia.
I mean, I don't know what he weighed. I mean, I heard he weighed 278 at the Arnold. We were there.
Yeah.
I mean, when he walked out for the prejudging by himself, and all I could see was just this thick waist, and I just thought, oh, God, they've done it again.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, at the Arnold Australia, he dropped 15, 20 pounds, and he did that front relaxed, and his waist just looked like, I can't even, like, the difference then between his waist and his shoulders, it creates that illusion. I think if they've learned from what they've done with Rowley pretty much at every Arnold and every Olympia, if they bring him in like they do, say, when he won Prague last year, when he won the Arnold Australia, I could see him definitely in fourth place. I honestly think, I've said this before, I think if he brings his absolute best, I could even see him placing ahead of Ramy.
Yeah.
I do, and I think pound for pound, when he's on, for me, he's a much more impressive physique than Ramy. He's freakier for me. He's got less kind of flaws. For my personal preference, I would rather see Rowley place ahead of Ramy, because I just think he's a much freakier physique, freakier muscle bellies.
It's exactly it. He's got those real round, full hanging muscle bellies like Phil does. It's just a rare thing. Ramy's a monster, but he just doesn't have that same roundness and fullness to the muscles, which it's got to be an entirely genetic thing.
He takes up a lot of room, Ramy.
Yes, he does. He takes up a lot of room.
Huge.
So the next guy we should probably talk about is Dexter, because he was up there last year, 4th or 5th, right? 4th. And there are people talking about, this could be, they think he could come in and upset the show and beat Phil and get the Olympia title back. And I don't know, man. I mean, he came really close to beating Bonac. I think it was very, very close between them at the Arnold Classic earlier this season.
Yes.
And he's like one of the only guys that has that same level of muscle maturity and detail that Phil has. It's just, I don't know, size-wise, it's hard for him, I think, when he stands next to a Ramy or a Phil, because it's not that he's lacking in size, but these guys just have such an overwhelming presence that it's tough for anyone to stand next to. But I don't know. I think Dexter could be up there. How well do you think we could see Dexter do?
I think it's a Dexter. I mean, I was writing Dexter off 6 years ago, and then I went to Miami to watch the Masters Olympia, and it was like, oh shit, he's back. And then he went and won the Arnold Classic in 2013. Admittedly, it wasn't the strongest Arnold Classic ever, but he won it quite comfortably. With Dexter, the first area that seems to be going on him, and he needs to keep it, is his legs. If he comes in with his legs not separated, and also he's got to keep that waist in, because he's got a very long torso. And if he doesn't, I've seen it where he lets it go, and he's very good at keeping it in. But if he keeps his midsection nice and flat, and the legs are nice and detailed, everything else is so pretty. It's such a beautiful physique. I mean, it's like I said, it is literally a 90s physique, because that's when he was competing.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dexter, there's no one's got the record that Dexter has, and I just think I would be very sad if he was starting to decline. But he's just. For so many years, people bet against him every single year, and every single year he keeps proving people wrong, and I love that about him. Yeah. I mean, I think I'll be a little bit sad when he does eventually slip out of the top 6, if it does happen. But he's just someone you automatically, if he's on, he's always going to be top 6. He could beat Rowley, he could beat all of them. I mean, he beat Rowley at the Arnold Classic, and he's. So 4th to 6th, absolutely.
Not bad for a guy who's going to be turning 49 in a month or 6 weeks. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. One guy who's getting a lot of hype, rightfully so, he's hyping himself up. Nathan Dasha from the UK, training for the show in good old Tennessee in the USA. He's really been talking a big game. He's coming after everybody, and seems very, very confident. He had the 2 wins earlier this season, New York Pro, California Pro. New York, I thought he was a little washed out looking. I wasn't in the California show, but he definitely tightened up a lot for that. I think he knows how to get in condition, but my fear for him and a lot of these guys is, I think a lot of them get in their heads that you got to be really big and full for the Olympia. Like the Olympias, they think it's judged differently than any other contest.
Yeah.
But you can't give up. You can never give up condition, no matter what the show, because they always want superb condition, no matter whether you're at the Olympia or the Phoenix Pro or whatever show it is. I mean, I hope he doesn't make that mistake, because when he's dialed in, his condition is 100%. Nathan is a sight to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he said to me at the San Marino, he was on one of the trade stands, I interviewed him, and he said his next ambition was to beat Dexter. He said, I really want to, he says, if I beat Dexter at the Olympia, he says, regardless of where I place, he said, that's me moving up. He says, because that's one of the only guys yet that I have not beaten. And I said, I've said many times, we said in the wrap-up at the Olympia last year, I said about the improvements I felt that Nathan needed to make was a bit more thickness to his hamstrings. The details good. Like in the side, that I could still, maybe it's the way he poses it. Maybe he needs to, those ways you can kind of pop the hamstring out more. Right. But also, he really lacked what I felt last year was leg separation, quad separation. He's brought his legs up bigger. But I put some pictures in Muscle News Weekly about 2 weeks ago, and his legs at 4 or 5 weeks out are more separated than I've ever seen them on stage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is someone who's smart, that he listens to criticism and he applies it. So, I mean, all I could see was just these crazy separated legs, and I'm thinking, shit, if they look this good 5 weeks out, how are they going to look come show day? I honestly don't know where he's going to place this year. I thought at one point he might have moved up to maybe 4th spot, but then we've seen guys like Brandon Curry who seem to have taken a jump forward as well.
Right.
And then, and it's so
we're all forgetting about Sean Rhoden too, because he doesn't hype himself up much. He doesn't talk crap about people, but he's never been out of the top 5. I don't think he's been as high as 2nd place at the Olympia. This is a guy that it's crazy that we don't talk about him as much as some of these other competitors, because his record is outstanding at the Olympia contest. And I'm trying to figure out from progress pics if his back is much improved, his triceps, because those are the only 2 areas I really felt he needed work on. Everything else on the guy is spectacular. The shape, the structure. I think he's got one of the best front double biceps the sport's ever seen.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's like one of those trophies. But like I said, I don't know why we kind of tend to forget about Sean.
I'll be honest, I forgot about Sean because last year I thought he was starting to decline. He took 5th place, and I had him about 8th because of the judging. His stomach was bad, and I completely wrote him off. In fact, I almost didn't recognize him on stage, and I was like, "Oh, he's ruined his physique. He's done." And then he came back at the finals, and his stomach was flat, and he looked good. He looked really good, and I was thinking, "Shit, he's back in the fight." The thing is with Sean actually is someone that up till a couple of years ago, I thought that him or Cedric could be the guys that if they took the step up, could be the guy to take Phil out. I don't know whether I feel that anymore, but also I saw a little bit of, he'd lost a bit of thickness and fullness in his chest, and also his shoulders last year at the Olympia and the Arnold Europe. I'm anxious to see if he's brought that back. If he has brought that back, then straight away he's going to be in the top 6. I think he can 5th, 6th. Yeah, I think maybe got 6th in my head. Yeah. But I'd be interested to see if Nathan can step over Sean this time. I think some, like say Brandon, Sean, and Nathan, seeing those 3 is going to be a separate contest in itself, like Ramy, Bonac, and Phil in that top 3. And then you've obviously got like Rowley and Dexter, kind of, where are they going to fit? And then you've got guys like Brandon, so yes. Okay. So Sean, I don't know. Okay. I can't place him at the moment.
No, we need to, like these prediction shows, we have to do them because they're kind of expected, but they're kind of pointless because until these guys walk out on stage, this is all sort of mental masturbation, really. We're speculating. We're guessing. We're assuming everyone's going to be at their very best. And
you have to, though. You have to, because you don't know. Because the thing is, you might get somebody that completely unexpected that jumps into the top 6 that you didn't even have an idea of. And it can happen.
That's I love seeing that because it's so much more exciting because you're looking at this list right now and you're thinking, okay, Ramy, Phil, Bonac, Dexter, Rhoden, Rowley. You already know in your head, okay, here's the top 5 in pretty much a rough order. So if somebody can really jump in there like Ronnie did in '98, and you're like, oh my God, look at this guy. I love seeing that. That's the unexpected event that we rarely see, but when it happens, it really makes the show so much more interesting.
Like if Nathan kind of improved and jumped up to say 4th place and stepped over Dexter, Sean, and guys like Brandon, that's going to add a lot of excitement. Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to talk about all the guys doing the Olympia. I'll just read off some other great guys we got going in are Charles Griffin, Cedric McMillan, Michael Lockett, Juan Morel, Ian Valliere, Steve Kuklo, Lucas Soslado. I'm probably missing a couple people. Alex Rivera. It's going to be a solid Open Olympia. But let's get to the 212 because your fellow Welshman is making his final appearance, going for his 7th 212 title. James Flex Lewis, and the pictures he's been putting up, he was ready to get on stage. I don't know what he weighed if he was 212, but condition-wise, Flex Lewis was ready about a month ago, it looks like.
He always is.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's got in store because I know he wants to definitely go out with a bang and make it unquestionable that he deserves the 7th and final 212 title. Have you been in any kind of sneaky contact with Flex, Giles?
I've backed away from the last few weeks because he goes a bit.
Mental.
Oh, he's Flex is sound. I like to sometimes leave some of those guys alone, because. Yeah. Flex, this is going to be a very, very interesting one. I mean, Flex outgrew the 212, he told me, after the first year.
Wow.
So, this is 6 years on. I mean, this is a guy that is ready at like 225, and then he's having to, pull down. I mean, most of the photos you're seeing he's probably around about 220 in those pictures.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm quite happy that is his last 212 year, because I don't know whether he is going to come back as an open. That's still an open-ended question at the moment. We don't know. I'm hoping he will maybe in 2020. I'd love to see. I think we'd all love to see Flex come back at 225. But having said that, that's in the future. Yeah. I was talking to. I went to see Jay Cutler on Friday, and Jay was
Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah, Jay was training legs. He says, "Come on, Giles, who you got for the 212?" And I said, yeah, I Flex. And he says, yeah. I said, what do you think about Lunsford? And Flex says, Jay said, no, he said Flex is too, Physique is too pretty. Yeah. He's too well put together. And I says, yeah, I agree with you, actually. I think I just want to see Flex come in at his best because last year, obviously, he had a lot of stress leading into the show, which did affect his physique. It affected him. Of course, it's going to affect him, So I'd like to see him go out and win it outright, just so he can close that chapter of his career. Because Flex has been such an amazing champion. He's been such a good representative, not just for 212, but also for bodybuilding. I think he sets a very good example. I think he's got beautiful aesthetics. And he's such a hard worker. And it's going to be a bit of an emotional thing, I think, to see him. And I can't wait to hear his speech.
He will cry. He will cry. I guarantee you.
Well, I think I'll cry.
We're all going to shed a couple tears.
We're all going to cry. No, but Flex, he's got heart, isn't he? Flex he's got that kind of that enthusiasm and passion that just resonates, in everything he does. But I'll tell you what, I will say this. I hope Flex puts a really good posing routine together because I think he's been winging it for the last few years.
Really?
Flex has been winging his posing, and I know he's watching this. Yeah. I want to see him put together the posing routine that he's capable of, because Flex, if he puts the effort in, he's easily one of the best posers in the IFBB, and I want to see his routine reflect that.
I want to see him pose to the one Tom Platz used to pose to, "Ride Like the Wind."
Ride like the wind, yeah.
Who did that stupid song? "Ride Like the Wind." Some crappy '80s song, but. Yeah. That'd be full circle. So Ashkenani's been second 2 years in a row. He's got a phenomenal physique. That back is just outrageous. And his shoulders the clavicles are about 5 feet across. So, he's like 5'2". But I don't know if he's been getting any better. I mean, I keep looking at those legs, and you've probably been talking about this on Muscle News Weekly. He had the knee surgery.
Yep.
And we don't know if that means his legs are going to be worse, or maybe now he can train them more effectively, and they'll be better. I guess we're going to find out Friday night, right? Yeah.
Well, as you know, when Rosie was away, I did Muscle News Weekly. I did one with Kamal.
Yeah.
And he was the one who told me that Ahmad had knee surgery. And it's like you said, you don't know whether it's going to mean it's going to make his legs worse or better. But he's not. I mean, the pictures I've seen of Ahmad so far have been a riddle bicep with his baggies on, and I've seen a side chest shot from the side. His legs look freaky from the side.
Yeah.
But how are they going to look from the front? I mean, if his legs from the front are kind of what is holding him back from really pushing flex the last couple of years, in my opinion. In fact, I had Ahmad third last year. I had Jose Raymond second last year.
Well, Jose will be glad to hear that.
Yeah, fanboy.
I could have seen that. Sure.
Fanboy.
You're the fanboy. I'm the Lunsford fanboy. So talk about Jose, and this is he's retiring for good after this season. He's got Olympia and then a couple of the Asia Korea Pro or whatever, and then like one more, and he's all done forever. He's had a very long career himself. Started competing in '93.
Wow.
I won't say when he turned pro, because he turned pro. He earned the pro card many times before he finally accepted it. But that's going to be, to me, the most probably bittersweet person to see, because that's the last time we're going to see him ever on the Olympia stage, and I'm not going to those other shows, so this will be the last time I ever see Jose compete. I'll try not to get all sentimental about it, but what a run he's had.
You can cry about Jose, I'll cry about Flex, and we can all hug it out.
Right on. No, but I'm looking forward, because I'm sure you've seen the pictures Jose's been putting up. I mean, he's very, very consistent, condition and everything, but he looks like he's really putting in that extra couple percent that we didn't even know was possible, because he always puts everything into these preps and his training and his diet and everything. But yeah, he's another one. I think him and Flex, this will probably be their all-time best.
With Jose, like last year, I had him second. At the Arnold, I think fifth was fair because he was off. Yeah. So was the Arnold the start of a decline, or was he just plain off? That's what I'm going to be interested to know, because if that was just mistiming his peak or whatever, then that's fine, and we'll probably see him, pushing in that first call out, pushing flex, because many said, from photos and video, whatever, many had him winning Korea. When many thought that Hadi should have beat Flex because Flex was off, and a lot of people have been, really going on and on saying no, Jose should have won that. So if Jose is at his absolute best, then he could be as high as second. Yeah. He could be as high as second. He's been second before, so it's going to be interesting. Or if that was the start of a decline at the Arnold Classic, then I think with the strength of the competition, he's going to be out of the top 5. So it's quite exciting to think, you got like Ahmad there, his leg's going to be worse or better. You've got Jose, is he going to be, there's this kind of, I'm going to be interested to see and excited to see whether it was just a one-off, the Arnold Classic, or whether it was actually a sign of the times that, his physique is starting to show wear and tear. So plus, because at the end of the day, we don't want to see him his last Olympia and get 8th place or something. You want to see it.
Oh no, he's never placed that low at the Olympia.
Well, he was 5th at the Arnold, mate, and it wasn't exactly the most incredible lineup. So you've got to be objective here, mate. True. So he could be second, he could be 6th.
Yeah. Now
let's be realistic.
Because the Arnold wasn't that impressive of a lineup, I think. Your good friend Kamal Elgargni doesn't get a lot of love and a lot of hype, because I think people sort of write him off because, he won a very weak 212 Arnold Classic where Jose was off, David Henry was off, this guy wasn't there, that guy wasn't there. And I think he's not getting proper credit for how good he really is, because it's not his fault those guys weren't at their best. What do you got a picture of him right there?
I'm not allowed to show these pictures to anyone, so don't tell anyone, all right?
Okay. I can't really see it anyway.
Yeah. It's just, He sent me these pictures last week, and he said, "Don't show these to anyone." And I'll tell you now, in these pictures, that proves what I was saying at the Arnold Classic. That was Kamal at 80 to 85% at his best.
Wow.
Because Chris Aceto brought him in. They were frightened to fill him out completely. They just wanted to get him dry, which they did. But the physique you saw at the Arnold Classic, I'm very familiar with Kamal's physique. And I'm telling you, Kamal had lost a lot of fullness and a lot of roundness.
Yeah.
And still, well, I would say he was quite a clear winner, especially being an unknown. I mean, that rear bicep is a shocking shot. I want to see that next to Derrick Lunsford and Flex and Ahmed Ashkanani, Jose. I would love to see that as a top 5, because I'm telling you, there's a couple of shots he's got that he's deadly in, absolutely deadly. So his legs are back, there's fullness back in his shoulders. I just want to I said to him, be careful on the carb up, mate. I says, because he's got to keep, if he keeps that waistline in, maybe load a bit earlier like some guys do. Sometimes they mistime it and they end up with a bloated stomach. And I said, mate, be careful, because if you come in with a bloated stomach and it's not really tight and detailed like it needs to be, it's going to completely spoil the picture. So tell Chris that, and I hope you and Chris put that in action. No, I do, and I said, this is it. I could see it. I could see it in the pictures. I was like, be careful, because I think maybe that's why Chris brought him in a little bit flat at the Arnold. Maybe they were frightened of blowing the waistline out. So
that's my only knock on him was at the Arnold. I was like, this guy's. I don't see like a real fullness and a lot of pop to the muscles the way I'd like to, but you're telling me that's typically is there. He didn't bring that to the Arnold Classic for whatever reasons they decided to err on the side of condition.
I've seen him full. I've seen him conditioned. I've seen him full and conditioned, and I'm telling you, if he brings fullness and condition to the Olympia, he's going to be first call out, 100%.
So another guy that we probably should have been talking about more, but is Ricardo Correia, who at the Olympia last year did exactly what you just said, overcarb, mistimed his carb up a little bit, and unfortunately with the shorter guys, a lot of times it's more obvious in the midsection when they spill over a little bit and their midsection bloats. And I think you said he kind of screwed himself out of a top 5 last year at the Olympia, where he probably would have been. But, I want
to say top 5. I think he was 10th last year. I think he could have moved up at least 3 to 4 spots. But then you had guys like Milan Shadek, Sean Clarida. I think he'd have been maybe 3 spots high. I don't think he'd have been top 5, because Derrick Lunsford was 5th, and he was not as good as Derrick Lunsford there. But I saw Ricardo guest pose 2 weeks ago, and he sent me some pictures at 224. He was ready. He was like Nicholas Villiard, Derrick Lunsford, Flex. They're all ready at like 220, 225. So, like I said, I've been hassling him about the stomach. I said, do not do what you did at the Olympia last year, because remember we saw him at Meet the Olympians, and he looked really depleted and swollen. I was like. And he was. I just had a feeling what he was going to do. I knew he was going to overcompensate by eating too much and carb up too much, and it's exactly what happened. And then and then he obviously learned from that, rectified it for the EVL Prague, and he won it.
Right.
So if he's got it right, I mean, he's been out there at least a week now in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure he told me. He was like way under the 212 last year at the Olympia. But this year he's going to be bang on 212, so he's going to be at least 5 to 6 pounds heavier than last year. And if he's got the stomach in, then he's a threat. He's an absolute threat. And I hope he does a good posing routine as well, because he's got the potential to be a very good poser. But some of the posing I've seen, not that great.
He wings it, makes it up.
Yeah, he gets a bit overexcited on stage and flattens up too much and does it. I think he thinks he's Kai Green or something, and so I don't want to see him do any headstands on stage. I just want him put a really beautiful posing routine together, because he's got the kind of physique that, I could love to see him do like a Sean Ray type posing routine or a Kevin Laverne type posing, where it's a bit more controlled and powerful, and rather than kind of just getting all excited and flapping his arms around. And he has. If you look at his physique and really analyze it, he's got a really nice, pretty physique, and I'd like to see it presented properly, and I think it would make a big difference at the Olympia.
So opposed to Creed, like Kevin, not the rap music, Ricardo.
No.
Rude boy. Okay. I don't want to get too far without mentioning David Henry, because Henry was off at this Arnold, but last year's Arnold when he took second to Ashkenani, and a lot of us had him beating Ashkenani. When that guy's 100%,
well,
he's
where was
scary.
That?
Huh?
Where was that?
No, at the Arnold in 2017. You're
right.
2018. Yeah, he looked phenomenal at that Arnold. McGuff had him winning. I had him winning. A lot of people really saw him as a winner in that show. He's just that good. And I don't see him falling out of the top 5 this year. He's been in the top 5 pretty much every year he's ever done the show, and he won it early on in the career. I
thought Dave Henry should have been second in 2016 at the Olympia. He got 5th place, and I remember just being completely baffled. And I was thinking, guys, am I seeing something different to everybody else? Because the thing is, he only has to be a little bit off to kind of get 4th place at the Arnold like he did this year. Yeah. But when he's on, there's that muscle maturity and that detail. There's so many, at every angle, there's so much going on. And when he's on, there's no way he's placing out of the top 5 because he's too good. He's too good. He's got too much going on in his physique. He's like a little slightly smaller Phil Heath, isn't he?
Yeah, same again, like that rare quality, that real round, full hanging muscle that just pops off the bone. That's what he has, and he's got the muscle maturity and detail to go along with it that not many people have.
Yeah. How do you think Nicholas will do this year?
Okay. Well, I got to preface this by saying, I think he's a great kid. I love him. I love Patrick. They're great people. I think he's going to struggle this year to get a good look. I think he needs, his physique is a work in progress. Some shots he's phenomenal. From the back, he needs a lot of work still. He's got some phenomenal body parts. His legs are phenomenal. His shoulders, his arms, chest is really good. His front shots and his side shots are bang on. Back shots, they need work. I mean, he's another one. I think in a year or two we're gonna see his full potential. He's not quite there yet. I think 5th to 8th. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
And what do you think of Dwayne Kwamina?
I just posted up another thing that Dwayne.
I saw it.
Dwayne, I don't know where the beef with him and Lunsford. I mean, of all people, why you got to go after Derrick? But I mean, man, he's going after Derrick hard.
Yeah.
He looks. Dwayne looks really good. Dwayne has so much thick, round muscle on him. Arms are just phenomenal. Delts, arms, quads, pecs. Everything's just packed with muscle. Everyone's got a flaw. Everybody. The one thing I would like to see with him that he really can't change much is his clavicle width. That's where I think someone like Lunsford has a tremendous advantage, and Ashkenani is. Especially when you're a shorter guy and you have these wide clavicles, because most of them don't. They have they're smaller, more compact bone structures. Dwayne's he's someone who's had he's packed on a ton of muscle onto a very small frame. He's done a phenomenal job of that in a short time. He's put on 50 pounds of muscle since he turned pro in July of 2016.
Is he on the same supplements that fucking Derrick Lunsford's on?
Possibly. I mean, another guy that's grown like.
There's something in the water they're drinking.
But yeah, he turned pro as a lightweight, 154 pounds. Or was it a middleweight? No, I'm sorry, it was a middleweight. No, wait, was he? I don't know. I just did his interview, so I should remember this. But he has added 50 full pounds of muscle, and for a guy he's 5'4.5" or something. That's crazy.
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, he'll do well because he's got a lot of muscle and he's going to come in condition. I don't know how well he's going to do it. If he doesn't beat Lunsford, it's going to be like egg on his face, though.
No,
the way he's gone after the kid.
It's hype. It's just a bit of well-meaning hype. I don't get a bad feeling from Dwayne. I think he's quite a nice kid. Right. I quite like. I look at the banter and stuff, and I see it as like kind of. I don't see it as cockiness. I actually see his as confidence, and he's trying to build a bit of hype. He's a complete. No one really knows him. Nobody knows anything about him until he started doing this stuff. And when you actually look at him, you think, yeah, he's kind of just I don't see him as like some punk. I see him as somebody who's doing it for a reason. I don't think he genuinely. I can imagine him being all pally backstage with Lunsford, and I think sometimes they do it to not just fire themselves up, but fire everybody else up and fire the category up. And especially when he's got nothing to lose, because wherever he places, it's his first Olympia. He's only done one 212, so he won it. Yeah. And he's a complete unknown, so he's got nothing to lose. He's thinking, oh, well, I'll just go after him. I remember when King Kamali did it, and I remember he was going on about Sean Ray's posing, and I was thinking, Sean Ray's the best fucking poser in the industry. What are you talking about? But it got people talking, and it kind of... it generates excitement. So there you go. But okay, then the big question now, Mr. Fanboy.
Yeah.
Lunsford.
Winner. He's going to win hands down. No, I can't. Never mind. Yeah, I think he'll be in top 5 again. Where he's going to land in that top 5, I don't know. He's put on some good size since last year. You do need muscle maturity at this level, because these guys are all older guys that he's up against. I mean, geez. Jose, even Flex has a good almost 10 years on him. Yeah. So much more dense detail. Ashkenani, Henry, it's just a different look to the muscle. When Lunsford has that quality, I don't know who's beating him. He's gonna be amazing in the future. You can't rush muscle maturity. You just can't get that overnight. He's put in a lot of work, and I'm sure he's gonna look better than he looked last year. It's hard to tell from the progress pics, how that's going to translate. Picture in a gym by yourself with your shirt off. It's hard to translate that to on stage, under the lights, in trunks, next to 15 other guys that are all amazing too. So, we'll see. I'd like to see him move up, but I mean, look at this group. Look at this group he's up there with. It's going to be a battle. These guys are all awesome. I'm a fan of all of them.
Derrick, yeah, Derrick. I was talking to Jay about Derrick, and he said, do you think Derrick will bring the condition? And I said, well, he's been in pretty good condition for quite a while. And I just hope that he's one of these guys that, when you've seen him on the progress pictures and he is maybe 220, 225, he doesn't kind of lose all that muscle he's put on just to make 212. Yeah. I hope we see sort of the glimmers of what we've seen in all these progress pictures. I hope he doesn't just kind of like it all falls off him in the last couple of weeks because he's got to drop 10 pounds. So if he can keep that, because Derrick has got a beautiful shape. He's got a very, very nice shape. I don't think he's really got a weak pose. He's got a small waist. Like you said, I think his calves he lacks. Not a huge deal. And also, I want to see him absolutely shredded, because that readable bicep shot, I mean, regardless of what you're saying about how good he looks by himself, yeah. I want to see that next to Flex and Ahmad and Jose, because if he's really detailed and he's managed to retain every bit of that 3D kind of thickness and layered muscle, I think the crowd is going to go absolutely fucking ballistic. I'm so excited to see how Derrick looks, because I think he's been very entertaining as well, Derrick, and I think he does it in quite a respectful manner. I think he's. I can imagine him and Flex sending private messages, kind of, come on guys, let's hype this up, and people are buying into it, and it's generating excitement, and that sells tickets.
I believe they do message each other, honestly.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
I think one of them actually told me that. I'm not going to reveal who, but yeah, they're all friends, guys. Don't be fooled. It's all an act. They're all buddies. This is all just to hype up the show and make So let's just mention a couple other guys. Sean Clarita, New York Pro champ, gets bigger and better every year. Yep. He's going to look good. Charles Dixon, they don't call him the tank for no reason. He's packed with muscle. Always comes in looking conditioned and grainy and striated.
Yeah, he was fantastic at the Arnold. Fantastic. And he lost the Arnold by 1 point.
Right. Yeah, he could have won that. Now, Hadi's never getting into America, I guess, right?
No. I think we've just got to kind of just... I mean, I don't know. Plus, now I found out that Hadi wasn't 212 when he won San Marino, which Dennis James told Patrick Tua, that told me in San Marino that Hadi was 212 in San Marino. And then I saw how Hadi looked at Portugal. I've got to try and... Because if what I saw at San Marino last year in the flesh was 212 and he was getting to Olympia, then him and Flex would have been... I could flip a coin. Well, but
the timeline between the Correia show that Flex beat him and the San Marino was a matter of like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It couldn't have been that long.
Yeah, but honestly, San Marino to how he looked at Portugal, complete two different physiques, And in fact, some people say they preferred the Portugal look because it brought his waist in flatter. But for me, I mean, he was doing vacuums on stage at the San Marino.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see too much of a bloke because that's something I do look for.
Right.
But what I saw at San Marino is, well, it's pointless because he wasn't a 212. He was probably more like 220.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you stuck Flex Lewis up at 220, 225, you're going to see a completely different version of him, a more impressive version. So I think we've got to kind of, you know, I mean, like I said, he did look very good at Portugal. And I think it's just such a shame. I don't know where does Hadi really go from here?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't let him into Canada. They won't let him in the USA. So he's just going to have to keep winning these shows outside of North America, I guess.
Do you think he should move up to Open?
I mean, he would do well. I don't know how well. Like I said, if he can't compete in any shows in Canada and the USA, it sort of limits his options.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the shows are. So I think he needs to somehow get some great immigration attorney or visa something going on because he's missing out. And the fans are missing out, too.
Yeah, it's a shame, real shame, because he is... Honestly, like I know I keep going on about it, he's fucking amazing.
I mean, I want to see him. I've never had the chance to see him compete, and I want to.
He's a beast.
I can see that in the pictures and the video, but I'd like to see. I even like the way I was looking at videos from the Portugal show, and just the way he commands the stage during the judging. He puts his arm up, and I mean, you can tell he knows he owns the stage. He's just. I'd like to see that kind of swagger, as AJ likes to say.
He's a very, very exciting competitor to watch,
yeah.
And he's. I get a good vibe from Hadi. It was like seeing him and Cedric and Brandon on stage at the San Marino. It was such an exciting show. It was it was amazing, and you could see like Cedric and Brandon's face looking at him, going, "What the?" They were really impressed with him, and it was honestly the atmosphere was incredible. So it's just a shame we won't get to see that at the Olympia, you know, because.
Okay, well let's just mention a couple other guys. We've got Sami Haddad, always great to see. When he's a little bit off, it's not as impressive. But when that guy's 100% on, such a beautiful physique on Sammy.
Yep.
The blacksmith. And, of course, we can't leave out Zane Watson from Canada.
Yes.
Who was definitely one of the best posers in the sport today, bar none. He's made some improvements. I saw him win up in Toronto. And, you know, he'll be competitive. It's going to be tough for him to fight for top 5 or 6 in this group. It's a hell of a group. We'll see.
Rosie messaged me on Tuesday. She sent me a text and she said, "Giles, why have we not got this guy in the show in Muscle News Weekly?" And I was like, "Shit, you're right." So I contacted him straight away, and within a few hours, I had a day or whatever, I had a video, and we put him in. He's in this episode of Muscle News Weekly.
I'm watching when we're done.
Watch when he's done, yeah. And he's he's like he said, the two things I like, Ron.
Condition and presentation. Yeah.
And that guy's got both.
He didn't get out of shape for one day after. So his last show was Toronto back in early June. So he's been holding that condition for over 3 months since then. And, I follow his social media, his Instagram and everything. Yeah, I think he had like a couple weeks where he slacked on his diet to let everything reset. But wow, he'll bring some crazy condition, that guy.
So. Lastly, do you think there's anyone that's going to be a wild card that you haven't mentioned?
Honestly, no. But, that's the one thing I love is sometimes, like the Arnold Classic, you're telling me about this Kamal guy. I'm like, whatever, dude. Kamal, Camel. Who the fuck is this guy? He's off in the corner at the meet and greet. Nobody's looking at him. Nobody's talking to him. I'm like, this poor bastard. He's going to go back home to the UK and, poor guy. Poor guy won the show. Poor guy looked awesome.
Yeah, I spoke to Kamal 2 days ago, and I said, "Mate, have you got your freaking photo sorted?" Because he went to the Arnold class. He said, "I had no clothing," because he's got his own clothing, and I had no photos. And so I said to him a few days ago, I said, "Mate, I know you're leaving tomorrow." I said, "Have you got all your stuff with you?" And he says, "Yeah, I've got it all printed off." And I says, "Mate, you're probably going to have a bit of a bigger queue this year because last year it was just me and Ron."
Yeah.
Coming over to talk to you, and you just kind of sat there like by yourself with nothing, and. Yeah, I said so. Make sure you're prepared. So,
so we could see something like that happen again. Somebody that, well, I doubt it's going to be someone that neither of us have heard of. Obviously, if they're in the Olympia, but somebody we're not on our radar. It's always possible. and that's to me that's the best. To me, that's the most fun part of the sport.
Yeah.
It's when somebody comes out of the woodwork, as they say, like like Ronnie did in '98, or like Jay Cutler did in 2001. Somebody that nobody was thinking was going to do anything great at the show, and then, oh my God, look at him. They look amazing. All right, we got to get to Classic, the last thing we're going to talk about, because this is going to be quite a show. We got some veterans from last year. We got some amazing newer guys coming up that came on the scene just this year. First of all, Breon's going to be trying to hold on to his title. Looks to me like he's better than ever from all the shots I've seen coming out of Kuwait. He's back home in California now, I believe, or maybe he's already in Vegas. I don't know. But he's going to have his hands full because Bumstead's better. He's a kid. He's 23 years old. Better and better every year. George Peterson III has been throwing up videos. I know we keep saying he's more of a 212 guy, but George's looking pretty tough.
Yep.
Arash, who, I thought he was slipping because last year he placed a little worse at the Olympia, but then we saw him at the Arnold, and he damn near beat Breon.
How is he classic? How is he classic? When you've got shoulders the size of your head, like that, how is he classic? I don't understand. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
He's classic bodybuilding, and there is no classic bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Right now, classic physique to me is classic physique and classic bodybuilding sort of mishmash together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have. Because we had this conversation right after you were educating me, after Chicago, after Wesley Visitors won, and I was all butthurt about it because I like Amit. I wanted Amit to win, and Amit was in phenomenal condition, and Wesley was not in phenomenal condition. He could have been tighter. His tan was terrible at the judging. He fixed it for the finals.
I was messaging Wesley after the judging. I said, I've just spoke to Ron. I said, get the fucking tan on. I said, go and get another 10 coats now. He went, okay, thank you.
Trust in Tiger, guys. Tiger will steer you right. But and then Wesley's another guy. He's brand new on the scene. He's never been in the Olympia before. He just did his first. He just turned pro this year at the London show, right? That you were at.
Yeah, Rosie won. Rosie got second at the pro show. Yeah, the first Two Bros pro show. Yeah. I saw him backstage because I came through the door, and I bumped into him, and he was just huge. He's a big kid, You don't realize how big this kid is. He's a really he was huge. I was really impressed.
He's about 6'2", 240, 245.
I looked up, and I'm 6'1", so I was looking up.
Wow. That's the strange thing about Classic is I don't see any other division where there's such a wide variety of types of physiques. And I hand it to the judges. I don't know how they're judging. I don't say that like I'm trying not to put that in a way that sounds like they're not doing a good job. I don't know how they can sort these guys out when they're such. How do you take like a Bumstead and a Visitors type physique? These guys are 6 foot plus and have a certain look to them. And then these shorter guys like Breon and Danny Hester. And then you got Arash, who's more like Arash to me looks like Frank Zane with another 30 pounds of muscle on his frame. Regan Grimes, to me, looks like a straight-up bodybuilder who just happens to have really pretty shape and a small waist. It's such a crazy, crazy gamut of physiques up there for Classic.
Do you know what I think? I think it comes down to those 7-8 judges. I think it comes down to their each personal opinion. Like, what you think should win Classic is not wrong, as mine isn't wrong, or it's right. I think it's just personal opinion. You might get someone like I wasn't overly impressed with Breon at the Olympia last year. Me and Steve were sat together watching it. Yeah. Steve was like, "Oh wow, Breon." I was like, "I don't see it." And then the more I saw him and the more I looked at him, I was like, yeah, I can see it now. And then I saw him at the night show, and I totally got it. And then I saw Breon again at the Arnold, and like that frontal bicep, to me, he is classic. He is classic. Yeah. I mean, really, when I think about classic, I think of guys like Terence Ruffin, Wesley Vissers. I think in like Arnold's, the Serge Nubres, because they are Chris Bumstead, like a Berry DeMay type physique. Yeah. I tell you who popped up. I messaged 2 days ago. He's going to be in a future episode of Muscle News Weekly. Was Courage Apara.
Oh yeah.
Remember him at the judging?
Is he doing the Olympia?
Yes, he's doing the Olympia. He was third at the Arnold.
The Arnold, yep.
And he looked better for the night show, and what a beautiful physique. What a beautiful classic physique. Now, there's another guy, if he looked absolutely incredible, and he's really improved in the photos I've seen of him.
I mean, he wasn't even, to me, he was like at 80% condition at the Arnold. And I remember thinking his shape and his size, the package he had for size and shape and everything was so good that even at 80-85%, he was good enough to be third. And that was a big lineup at the Arnold. I think it was about 25 guys.
Huge.
Yeah, so him, if he dials it in and comes he has. Okay, well then I'm really looking forward to seeing, because that guy's got a hell of a physique on him. Courage. What a great name, Courage Opera. Anyway.
What did you think of Steve Laureus?
Steve Laureus, I'm anxious to see him, because unfortunately the only time I've seen him so far is when he jumped in as a 212 at the New York Pro, and he was really overspilled and overcarbed, and it wasn't a good look. Because I know from the pictures and videos of when he won the Classic at the show a week before in Pittsburgh, or 2 weeks before, totally different physique, but beautiful shape on him. Wow. Tiny little waist, flaring lats, great arms, legs. I'm anxious to see how he compares with these guys. Also, I want to see this David Hoffman again. Because where did we see him? Did we see him at the Arnold? I know I've seen him once this year. Was it Chicago, maybe?
New York Pro.
New York Pro, yeah. Impressive, very impressive.
He was third.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's certainly not lacking on condition. I suppose he is classic. He's very much classic. I think he'll probably be the hardest up there, because his condition is insane. I mean, there was some of the guys on the forum saying he's too ripped. So he's too ripped. He needs to fill out. It's like, well, can't. He's shredded, so maybe he will fill out a bit. But I mean, he's got detail, separation, quality. He was a good super heavyweight before he switched to Classic last year. I was quite surprised when I heard he'd switched to Classic. See, the one that I can't picture how he's going to look as a Classic is Regan Grimes. I don't know. I still don't get. I get why he has changed, and I was amazed that he made it down, because we saw Regan at the Tampa last year, and he's huge. The kid's huge.
Yeah,
got so much muscle. I was like, he's never made. If you'd have told me he'd make Classic, I'd be very surprised. So I'd be interested to see how he looks as a Classic. If he still looks impressive. Tell you someone I am looking forward to seeing is Henri Pierre Amo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful physique, lovely.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him at Tampa last year as a bodybuilder, and he's. So I was curious when I got to Tampa to see how's he going to look now as a Classic guy, and he didn't downsize that much. He didn't have to. I think the difference in weight was only like 10 or 12 pounds that he had to lose.
Wow.
Because he's a tall guy. So the weight limit for him was only maybe 10 pounds, 12 pounds below what he was competing at anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, beautiful shape, tiny little joints on him, real wide shoulders, real narrow waist. Yeah, he's very comparable to Wesley in a lot of shots.
Yeah,
it's almost like you should have a short class and a tall class. Not that I want to give them any ideas, but
I think Henry is better than Wesley.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I think he's going to place better than Wesley. I don't think Wesley will make top 5. I think he'll be 6th to 8th.
Yeah.
And I think he'll make a good impression, and I think he'll end off a fantastic year for him to go from amateur. Really think about it. 6 months ago, 7 months ago, the guy was amateur. Now he's going in as like one of the favourites, to make top 10 at the 3rd Classic Olympian, which is fast becoming probably one of the most competitive classes.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how quick the Classic class has grown now. I mean, even last year, the hype and the excitement and the talk when we were there at the Olympia last year, it was a real buzz, and the crowd was going crazy for these. I mean, these guys, complete unknowns, really, have become superstars overnight. I mean, Chris Bumstead, how would he be doing if he was as an open pro now? I mean, would he be making top 10 maybe?
Nope. Well, he wouldn't be doing that. He wouldn't be doing nearly as well. Put it that way.
But now he's a Classic, and he's a superstar, and quite rightly so, because he is Classic. He's Classic,
Yeah, it's the division's exciting because I've said this before. Every year you're going to have anywhere from 3 to 5 like new amazing pros coming into Classic that are going to be threats at the Olympia. Where you don't have 5 new guys at the Open Olympia every year that are going to be threatening the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much settled. These are the guys that are the veterans. You got your Dexter or your Bonac and your Ramy, and you pretty much know what you're going to get with the Olympia, with the occasional surprises here and there. But Classic every year, it's going to be brand new talent coming on the scene, and because we see these at the amateur shows, the Classic divisions are packed. There's so many guys entering Classic now. They're getting a lot of the gene pool that Open Bodybuilding used to get.
Yes,
so
yes.
Now that's definitely working in its favor.
Who do you think? Who would you like to see maybe switch from Open to Classic?
Oh boy, good question.
Who do you think would do well?
Sean Rhoden would do great. I know he's way too big. I'm just talking about the shape and everything, the structure.
Yeah.
A smaller version of Cedric would do great.
Yeah.
That's the thing is you have to think how much would these guys have to downsize and what would they look like when they do. But I don't know. There's probably a lot of guys that aren't doing that well in Open just because they don't have enough mass to be competitive. But for whatever reason, they're not moving down to Classic yet. But I bet a lot of them will over the next couple of years. Who do you see as somebody you'd like to see move down? Let's not say down because that sounds like they're
switch.
Switch.
I don't know. I can't think of anyone right now.
You brought it up.
But you know what? I was when I did Tiger Talk, my interview series with Tony Freeman. I said, Tony, you're 52 on Thursday. I said, do you not fancy one more show, maybe jump into Classic like I heard you were going to a couple of years ago? And he went, nah. He says, Giles, do you know why? He says, because I was Classic when I was Open. He said, I've done Classic. He said, I just happened to compete in the Open.
I mean, he was like 280 on stage. I don't know if you want to call that Classic.
Yeah.
He had beautiful shape. I mean, the year he was like 5th at the Olympia, whatever year that was a hell of a physique. That was a Classic physique. What year was it?
2008.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He said to me, he said in that interview, he says, do you know what, Giles? He said there's always once in your career, competitive career, if you've been competing for a while, when you know that you've peaked. And like he said, like the unit, the planets align, and he says, and the universe just gives you the physique that you wanted for maybe a couple of hours, and you peak perfectly. He said, I was pumping up backstage. I put the dumbbells down. He says, and as I was walking up the steps to go onto the stage, he said, I looked down, looked at my body, and he says, and everything. He said the carbs were sitting in the muscle, the glycogen was. And he said, like, my skin was as thin as it could be. He says, I knew. He said, I felt so confident because I knew I peaked perfectly. He said that was one of the. He said that was like he said it was just like I can't explain the feeling of how when you walk on stage at the Olympia, you know you nailed it absolutely bang on. So
did you hear A Chorus of Angels?
Yeah,
maybe, huh? I think we'd be very remiss if we left out the first Classic Olympia champion, Danny Hester.
Yes,
my old compadre from back in LA, because he's someone that we could see either start to slide way down the ranks, or he could be one of those shockers. He's 49 years old. That would be quite a story if he showed up looking so good that he jumped right back up into. I don't know if he's necessarily going to win again ever, but what if he did? Well, how crazy would that be? Even if he could make like top 3 or 4 with this crowd of this amazing talent and all these young guys coming up, like Ruffin and Wesley and Henri, and it'd be a story. We'll see.
The thing with Danny is he's never going to come in out of condition. He's always going to give good posing. He's always going to be complete because his physique has been complete for 20 years. Yep. Like, I didn't know last year. I couldn't place him. I couldn't tell whether he was going to be 1st or 5th. I honestly didn't know because I thought, well, he's peaked perfectly. He's vascular. He's in condition. It's whether it's down to what your interpretation of a Classic is. Personally, I think I see him more as like a little 212 or a light heavyweight type physique. For me, he's not Classic, but the guy's won the Classic Olympia, so you know he obviously is seen as a classic bodybuilder. Yeah. So I bet I could see that. I could imagine the judges' sheets being quite varied on his. I bet if you saw, I could imagine him getting seconds. I could imagine him getting sixths, sevenths. I think his score was just an average. I don't think it would have been fifth. I think it would have been second, sixth, eighth, fourth, second. I think he's quite a varied physique. Oh, and also talking about Chris Bumstead and Barry DeMay. Barry DeMay messaged me yesterday and he said, Giles, I'm coming to the Olympia, because I was chatting with him, and he's going to come along and watch, because I think he's quite excited about the classic class as well. And I'll tell you what, he's looking in really good shape at the moment.
I've seen the pictures. He posted up pictures of himself at like 25 and what's he, like 55 now?
Something like. He still looks. Do you know what? I want to look like him when I'm his age. I mean, I'll still be trying, I'm sure, but
well,
healthy, looks good.
Did you do a Tiger Talks with him?
I'm going to, but I'm going to meet up with him this week. But he's got this new business and training system he's got in place, and so he will do a Tiger Talk in a few weeks. Yes.
Right on. Well, I hope we didn't miss anybody. If we did, guys, it's not because we don't like you. It's there's a lot of people to talk about. If we missed anybody, we're deeply sorry, but we'll try to make it up to you. We'll grab an interview with you or something in Vegas. Tiger, I'm looking so forward to seeing you again and having press passes to cover the Olympia. Wow, it's going to be a good time. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that movie premiere.
A sound effect.
No, I like your sound effects on Muscle News Weekly.
Rosie hates them. She hates them.
Which one does she hate the most?
She hates all of them.
Does she hate the ones with the kids going, yay?
Hates it. And we were watching it in the car. We'd just been to an account visit today, a promo visit, and she was watching it. And we plugged it into the car so it comes on the speakers in the car. Yeah. She's like, oh, I hate these sound effects. The more she tells me, the more sound effects I put in. So
good. Well, Rosie, I hope you've learned your lesson. You just say you love him, and maybe he'll start cutting back on them. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up. We got a lot more coverage to come. High Tech Pharmaceuticals, as usual, is doing us a solid, sponsoring our coverage of the Olympia weekend. We start arriving Wednesday. I'm not going to get there till Thursday. Hopefully the hurricane doesn't mess me up. But you'll be there Wednesday. And we'll catch all you guys. Our first thing we're going to cover, I believe, Thursday, press conference. We're going to be seeing what goes down there, who talks crap about who. Maybe another fight will break out amongst the men's physique guys. That was exciting last year.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. But looking forward to it, Giles. Looking forward to another bang-up job with you. So,
we've got to top last year's, mate. We've got to top. Now we've got press passes. We've got no excuses. We've got no. I mean, we did it last year and we did a good job. I'm happy with it. But I'm almost getting anxious because I'm stressing about putting this pressure on that we've got to do a better job. I'm going to be so disappointed if I go home and think that wasn't as good as last year. So we've got to nail it, mate. We've got to nail it. Quality, quantity. Tiger and
we can do it, man. We can do it.
Tiger and Ron, we're going to do it, mate.
Fear not, Giles. Fear not. Trust in Tiger. Trust in yourself. All right, guys. So please follow along. We're going to have all kinds of interviews, videos, pictures, you name it. Just come back to musculardevelopment.com starting Thursday at 12 Pacific time. That's the press conference, and we're going to keep on running straight through to into Sunday. We're not going to stop until that seminar. We're covering even that on Sunday. So it's going to be a busy few days, Tiger. We're going to need some coffee.
Can't wait.
Maybe a little bit of wine at the end of each night. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So looking forward to it, everybody. Thanks for watching. And again, catch Tiger Thomas and myself and the rest of the team's coverage starting on Thursday in Las Vegas. Thanks for watching.